Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well today. My name is Amanda. I want to thank you so much for clicking on this video. You know, I've been thinking a lot about what I can do that would help during this tough time we're going through right now at the time I'm filming this video. When we all have to stay inside like this, it feels like we're pretty powerless. But I'm trying to reframe the situation and focus on what I can do rather than what I can't do. I can't save the whole world, but I can do one thing. I can teach you how to knit. I started knitting myself just over a year ago, and I learned how to knit by watching YouTube videos. And with so many people at home right now, I figured there might not be a better time to pay it forward. I really hope this video helps and that knitting will not just be a good distraction for you right now, but also a fulfilling craft that you can continue with for years to come. So without further ado, why don't we get started? So one of the greatest things about knitting is that it doesn't take a whole lot of supplies to get started. You can just use what is in front of you right now, your yarn, your knitting needles, your scissors, and this little guy, which is called a tapestry needle. It's just essentially like a sewing needle, except it's bigger, and it's got a big eye that you can put your yarn in. Now for the purposes of demonstration today, I'm just using this scrap yarn right here that is left over from one of my projects, but I wanted to show you what your yarn is going to look like when you either buy it from a yarn store or buy it online. And it comes with a huge label on it like this. This is not sponsored, by the way, it's just for demonstration purposes. And it has a lot of information on it. I just want to go over some of what this says and why it matters. So first of all, you can see we've got 100% acrylic here. Now a lot of beginners love to start with acrylic because it is very affordable. It's one of the most affordable fibers out there. And obviously if you're not sure if you're going to be invested in knitting for the long run, it doesn't make sense to blow a lot of money on like a fancy artisan yarn. But it's also worth noting that acrylic is not super environmentally friendly. It's essentially a type of plastic. So you know, it's not biodegradable, and every time you wash this, it's going to release microplastics into the water. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm not going to tell you you can't use it. I mean, clearly I have some right here, so I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But, you know, as you get more invested in it, it may be worth it to you to spend a little bit more money and buy wool and some other natural fibers. Now the label also gives you care instructions for the yarn. You can see that this yarn is machine washable and dryable. Now not all yarn is going to be machine washable and dryable. Some of it you got to hand wash, you got to be very careful with it. So it's important to know this, especially as you go on and you make gifts for people. They're going to want to know how to take care of the item that you spent so much time making them. So this way you know and you can tell them. And as you turn this label over, you're going to see an important number right here. It says lot on it. Now that indicates the dye lot that this is made in. Now this colorway, Montpelier Peacock, if you need to buy more than one skein of this for a project, like say you want to make a scarf and you're going to need more than one skein, you need to make sure that all of the skeins of Montpelier Peacock you buy are from this lot number, because even though it's the same colorway, there's going to be slight variation between different batches. So, let's grab some here. So I've got two of these bad boys, and they both have the same lot number. So that's very important to know when you are searching for things. If you want to make a scarf, you're going to need to buy as many as you need from the same dye lot, if possible. It might seem like it doesn't make a lot of difference, but when you finish and you see the difference, you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I knew that beforehand. And the last thing that is very, very important is this will show you what needle size is recommended for the yarn you have. Now this one recommends a US size 13 needle, and that is also a 9mm needle. So if you're elsewhere in the world, you're using the metric system, which makes sense. It's important to know that. So now let's go ahead and talk about needles. So when we're talking about knitting needles, there's a lot of different materials that they're made with. It's most common to find metal ones, Those are extremely popular, but they might not be the easiest to work with if you're a beginner knitter. Instead, I would recommend getting something like these. These are bamboo needles. And the benefit of using bamboo is that it creates more friction when you use wood versus metal. So you're going to find that your stitches probably will be less likely to slip off. And I know if you're a beginner, that'll definitely give you some added sense of assurance. Now, as you get further into your knitting, rather than buying just these straight needles right here, you might want to buy these, something like this. These are interchangeable circular needles, and you can see that they're connected with a big cable. The benefit of this is you can fit a lot more stitches on this bad boy than you can on this. So that means you can make bigger projects like shawls, blankets, and it also means that you can connect in the middle and you can knit in the round. So projects like hats, cowls, gloves, socks, and sweaters, these all tend to be knit in the round. Now we're not going to talk about how to do that today, that's a little bit more advanced. But just looking down the line, if this is something you really want to invest in, it might be worth it to you to get a set of cable needles. They usually run over $50 and they can be more than $100. So I know that's a significant investment, but trust me, it's worth it to have every size of needle you need and just be able to unscrew this and plug the new ones right in, rather than having to buy a different size of these bad boys every time you need to make something new with a different pattern, a different project. It gets to be kind of a headache pretty quickly, so you could see why that would be very beneficial. And then finally we have the scissors and the tapestry needles. Now, you don't really need any particular special kind of scissors to use for knitting. If you have something lying around the house that cuts, it's probably good enough to use for knitting. You just need it to be able to cut the end at the end of your project. Some people like to get, fancy, pretty scissors, but that's really up to you. And then as for the tapestry needles, I just wanted to show you my set of 4 here. You can see that they come in different sizes. So if you're using a smaller size yarn, you'd use a smaller one. But essentially, all that matters is that you have one that works, whether it's plastic or metal. And I think I've talked plenty about the materials. Let's go ahead and get into how to cast on your stitches. So now I'm going to show you how to cast on your stitches. And all I mean by casting on is essentially making a foundation row of stitches that I can build the rest of my project on. And in order to do that, for this method I'm going to show you, which is called the long tail cast on, I need to estimate how much yarn it's going to take me to put the number of stitches I need on the needle. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and do 20 stitches. So how do I know how much yarn it's going to take me to do 20 stitches? Well, we're going to find out. And the way I'm going to do that is by taking the end of my yarn. I'm just going to drape it so the tail is at the front of my needles. And I'm just going to loop it around 10 times. So that counts as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So it just looks like this. And I'm going to pull this off now. So this amount is how much it would take me to do 10 stitches. All I'm going to do is fold it in half, and then boom, I've got 20. I didn't have to do that 10 more times. And then theoretically, that would be the end of it, but I'm just going to come forward just a little bit more, give myself a little extra breathing room. And now I'm going to make the first stitch to put on my needle. And the way I do that is by making a slip knot. There's a million different ways to make a slip knot. If you already know how to do it, you feel free to use whatever way you feel comfortable, but I will show you how I make mine. So I'm going to put my pointer finger out like this, and I'm just going to loop my yarn around so it looks like this. Let's see if I can get that knot in shadow. And then With my other hand, I'm going to pick up the first loop, bring my fingers through, grab the second loop, and pull. That's my slip knot. I'm going to show you that again. Let me get this adjusted. See if I can get my light a little better. I'll pull that out. Stick your pointer finger out, loop it around, and you got two strands. You want to grab the strand that's looped around your finger, pull it up just a little bit, reach through with your fingers, grab the one in the back, and pull. So that's my slip knot. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my needle and tighten it down. Alright, so I've got my slip knot on the needle. Now I just need to get all the other stitches on my needle. So how I'm going to do this is with my left hand, I'm just going to pinch my thumb and my pointer finger together, just like that. And I'm going to bring it through the middle of these two strands right here. Then with my other three fingers, I'm going to grab the bottom. And then pull my thumb and pointer finger apart. And it kind of makes like a diamond or a triangle or something like that. And I'm going to put my pointer finger on top of the stitch to just kind of secure everything. This is how I set up for the long tail cast on. And I'm going to do the cast on very slowly. With the point of my needle, I'm going to grab this stitch that's on my, this strand of yarn that's on my thumb right here. I'm just going to go underneath it and pull it up like this. And then I'm going to grab this strand that's on my pointer finger right here. And then I'm going to bring my needle through the middle of the thumb loops. I'm going to let go and pull. Let's show you that again, just a little bit faster. You can feel free to slow this down. You can rewind this, watch it as many times as you need to. I'm going to come under my thumb. I'm going to grab under my pointer finger, come through the middle of my thumb loops, let go, and pull. And that's your long tail cast on. Thumb, pointer finger, thumb, pull. It's hard to see that pointer finger one. I do apologize about that. Oh God, I need to put this differently. I don't know how to do it. I'm sitting on a desk like this. Under the thumb, over and around this pointer finger, right through the middle of these thumb loops, and pull. And I'm going to do that until I have 20 stitches. $19 and $20. I'm just going to spread these out on my needle. I am totally, by the way, totally not expecting you to be doing this quickly. I'm just trying to get you to where you need to be. You take as much time as you need. It's not a race. So now that you've got all 20 stitches cast on your needle, all you're going to do is turn it around, and you're going to grab your second needle in your right hand. And we're almost ready to start knitting. But before we start, I want to point out that there's two strands of yarn coming down. There's this tail yarn, and we want to make sure you never knit with the tail yarn. That's a very easy mistake to make. And if you try to knit with your tail, you're going to run out of tail pretty quickly. So you always want to use what's called the working yarn, and that is this other strand that is actually attached to your ball of yarn. So in order to start knitting, with my right needle, I'm going to come in to this left side of the stitch and just poke it through so that my needle is sticking out the back. And then with my right hand, you can see I'm kind of holding my tension with my pointer finger. I've got it kind of clasped in between my middle and my ring finger. That's kind of how I do it. You can do it however you feel comfortable. But in any case, I'm going to use my yarn to wrap around my right needle from right to left. So I'm going to show you that again. Wrap it around from right to left like that. And you're kind of dividing the needles in half. Then with my right needle, with the point of my right needle, I'm going to take it from the back to the front and then push it off. I just knit my first stitch. I'm going to show you that again. You're going to come into the left side of the stitch, poke out the back, wrap my yarn around from right to left, take the point of this needle from the back to the front, and then push it off. And that's how you knit. Remember that left side, poke out the back, wrap my yarn around the right needle, take the point of the needle from the back to the front, and push it off. And you just keep doing this until you hit the end of your row. Alright, so now that I've knit all my stitches, I'm just going to turn this needle around, and this time I'm going to show you how to do the purl stitch. So when we did the knit stitch, I didn't really mention it before, but we actually had the yarn in the back of the work, so it's kind of sitting behind the needle like this. But in order to do the purl stitch, we always need to make sure we bring that yarn, the working yarn, to the front. So I just kind of hold it here with my thumb. That way I know it's in front. Now to do the purl stitch, we're going to come into the right side of the needle, and the needle will be poking out front like this. We're still going to wrap the yarn around the exact same way we did for the knit stitch, so from right to left. I'll show you that again because I was totally blocking it. From right to left. Hope that's easier to see. And then you just take the point of the needle from the front to the back side of the work and then push it off. So it's almost just like knitting, except kind of backwards, if that makes sense. We're going to try it again. So come into the right side of the stitch, sticking out the front, wrap from right to left, take that point from the front to the back, and then push it off. And that's how you do a purl stitch. Yeah, it's weird. As I'm doing this, I kind of feel like I'm starting again. I think I'm nervous because I'm recording a video, so I'm casting on extra tight. It's making it harder to get through these stitches. Alright, so now we've gotten to the end of the purl row. But now I'm just going to turn our work And this time I want to show you what it looks like when you alternate between knits and purls and what you have to do to prepare for the next stitch, if that makes sense. So again, you've got 2 strands here this time. You need to make sure you're knitting with the working yarn, not with your tail. And with our yarn in the back, we're going to start our knit stitch. So just like before, come into the left side of the stitch, so your needle pokes out the back. Wrap your yarn around from right to left. Then take your needle point from the back to the front and push it off. But this time, because we're not doing a knit stitch next, we're doing a purl stitch, we need to yarn over. Or in other words, we need to take the yarn from the back side to the front. So now that our yarn is in the front, we can start our purl stitch. So you're going to go into the right side of the stitch. Still wrapping the yarn from right to left. Take the point of the needle from the front to the back and push it off. But we got to set up for our knit. So we're going to put the yarn in the back. And then put the needle on the left side of the stitch, wrap from right to left, take the needle from the back to the front, push it off. Now we're going to put our yarn in the front. We need to do this every time. Stick the needle on the right side of the stitch, wrap from right to left, take the tip of our needle from the front to the back, push it off. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, but you got to make sure whenever you're starting a knit stitch, yarn's in the back. Whenever you're starting a purl stitch, your yarn's in the front. Alright, so now that we've gotten to the end of our alternating knits and purls, I'm just going to turn the work and I'll show you something else that would be pretty useful for you. So let's say you're running out of your yarn. Your tail's getting shorter and shorter and you're panicking, you're not sure how to attach a new ball of the same yarn. Or let's say you want to make stripes, you want to attach a ball of a different color. I'm going to show you how to do that. That's actually surprisingly easy to do. So we're just going to come into the left side of our stitch as if we were going to knit it. I'm going to leave that right there while I get my second yarn ready. And all you have to do is just kind of hook it on your finger like this. And we're going to just loop it on and then knit with it like we normally would. And let's do this row alternating knits and purls like we just did. So I'm going to bring both strands of yarn to the front now, and I'm going to purl both strands together just to make my work a little bit more secure. And I'm going to knit with both strands together on this one. Now I feel pretty good about that. It feels pretty secure. So I'm going to drop my tail and just let it hang. And you can always weave that in later. And now I'm on my merry way with my new color. It's pretty easy. Okay, so I have gone ahead and knit up this sample for you by knitting one and then purling one all the way down the line, and this is called 1x1 ribbing. And I'm using this to show you what to do when you're finished with your project. How do you get this off your needles? And we're going to cast this off now. I'm going to show you how to do that. So remember I said we knit one and then purl one, so we're just going to do that. We're going to knit this one, and then purl this one. But now I'm going to take a pause, and with my left needle I'm going to come into the stitch like this and just lift it over top of the other stitch and then drop it off. And then the next one I'm going to knit. And then I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to get into this stitch and pull it right off and drop it. Now this next one's going to be a purl. Purl that. And if you don't feel comfortable using your needle to pull this stitch off, you can actually just do it with your hands. Let's see if I can demonstrate. So that works just fine if you want to do it that way. Whatever way you feel more comfortable. I'm going to do the rest of these and then I will show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, so I'm back now and I just want to show you what the last couple of stitches look like and what you do when you're coming all the way to the end. So I'm about to be down to the last two stitches. And once you're down to the last two, you pull the first one over the second one. And then we're going to cut this working yarn right here. Let me grab my scissors. And with my cut yarn, I'm going to use my needle and just pull straight up. Sorry for the abruptness on that last cut. My phone ran out of storage right in the middle of filming. But as I was saying, once you're down to your last stitch on the needle, you just cut your working yarn like this. And then just pull straight up with your needle and that'll form this little knot right here. And you tighten it up, that'll keep everything in place. So in order to weave in your ends, all you do is you thread your tapestry needle, and you can just let the end hang like this. I try to come into my knit stitches, these rows that look like little V's, and I try to come into them like this and hide my ends inside the knit stitches. Now I recommend going vertically rather than across like this because that'll tend to make your work tight and you don't want to do that. So now I'm just going to come back in the other side, and once I'm done, I will show you what it looks like. I've woven in about as much as I feel like. I'm going to go ahead and cut. And with just a tiny bit more trimming of that end, it totally blends in. You can't see it at all. And this is my finished product. Nice little square. And now that I've shown you how to cast on, knit, purl, and cast off and weave in your ends, believe it or not, you already know everything you need to know to make a simple project just like this. I'll put some resources in the description to give you some ideas for some simple knitting patterns you could try. So practice up, enjoy knitting, and I can't wait to see what you make. Bye guys!